There comes a moment in every person's life when the weight of the world feels too heavy to carry. When every door seems to slam shut, every prayer feels delayed, and every effort looks like it's producing nothing but silence. You begin to wonder if you're walking toward your destiny or dragging yourself away from it. And in those moments, it becomes so easy to sit down, to say, maybe it's not meant for me, or maybe I'm just not strong enough. But let me tell you something powerful. Your breakthrough never shows up wearing a sign that says, I am coming tomorrow. It often hides behind the very obstacle that's trying to make you quit. The test before the blessing is always disguised as exhaustion, loneliness, frustration, and repeated failure. And the people who rise, who transform, who become the version of themselves they were created to be, are not the ones who never fell, but the ones who refuse to stay down. Think about it. Every great story, every powerful transformation, every incredible success began with someone who reached a point where giving up looked easier than breathing. But instead of letting go, they stood back up, even if their hands were shaking, even if their heart was tired, even if no one understood them. They stood up because deep inside, something whispered, not yet. Your story isn't ending here. Sometimes your victory is just one more attempt away, one more prayer, one more step, one more moment of patience. And the tragedy is many people quit at the exact moment help is on the way. Strength doesn't show up when the road is smooth. It appears when everything inside you says, stop. And you quietly answer, just a little more. So if you're listening to this right now and life has been tough and you've been considering letting go, then hear this clearly. What happens when you refuse to give up is far more beautiful than anything you can imagine. Because the moment you decide to keep moving, even at half the speed, even with half the strength, you activate something extraordinary, something divine, something life-changing. Now let's uncover what truly happens when you refuse to give up. When you refuse to give up, something remarkable begins to happen inside you long before anything changes around you. At first, it feels like struggle is crushing you. You ask yourself why life has to be so heavy, why effort seems endless, and why progress feels slow. But as you keep going, as you take step after step, even when no one sees your effort, the struggle begins to transform you in ways you never expected. What once felt like a burden slowly starts becoming your teacher. What once felt like punishment begins revealing its purpose. You start to see that every difficulty, every delay, every disappointment is shaping you, not breaking you. It is carving something powerful into your character. You learn patience in moments where rushing wouldn't solve anything. You learn strength in situations where breaking down would have been easier. You learn humility when life reminds you that control is not always in your hands. And you learn faith when you realize the world does not always move according to your timing, but everything unfolds in its own perfect moment. You begin to understand that the struggle itself is a kind of preparation, a training ground. A refining fire that is molding you into someone capable of handling the blessings, opportunities, and responsibilities that once felt too big for you. Think of the most beautiful things in life. Diamonds, gold, pearls. They only become what they are through pressure, heat, and time. Without the process, they remain ordinary. But because they endure transformation, they become exceptional. In the same way, the challenges you face are shaping you into someone extraordinary. You may not notice it day to day, but the version of you that wakes up after a tough night is not the same version that went to sleep the night before. Growth often hides in silence. Strength builds quietly. And resilience is formed in moments when you could have quit, but didn't. And then something else happens. You stop fearing challenges the way you once did. You start seeing obstacles differently. Instead of saying, why me? You begin to ask, what is this trying to teach me? Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you feel prepared. Instead of seeing setbacks as signs of failure, you recognize them as steps towards something greater. You start gaining clarity. You start understanding what matters and what doesn't. Your heart becomes stronger. Your mind becomes sharper. Your spirit becomes deeper. With every struggle you survive, you become someone who can carry more, handle more, accomplish more. You realize that nothing you went through was wasted. Every difficulty served a purpose to build you into the kind of person who doesn't just chase blessings. You're ready for them. And when blessings come, they come to someone who has been shaped, strengthened, and matured by the journey. That is what happens when you refuse to give up. You don't just get stronger, you become unshakable. When you refuse to give up, something beautiful begins to happen with the doors in your life. Doors you once believed were permanently shut, opportunities you thought were gone forever, Moments you assumed you had missed. At first, it feels like nothing is moving. You try once, twice, 10 times, and still everything seems locked. You knock, and the silence feels louder than the knock itself. But when you persist, not forcefully, not impatiently, but with sincere effort and steady faith, you begin to notice that the same doors that rejected you before start opening in ways you couldn't have scripted. And that's when you realize the door wasn't denying you. It was preparing you. Sometimes the door remains closed not because you're unworthy, but because the timing isn't right. You may be ready for the opportunity, but the opportunity isn't ready for you yet. Or perhaps the opportunity is perfect, but you are not yet the version of yourself who can handle it properly. When you refuse to give up, you grow into that version. You mature emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. You learn responsibility, discipline, and wisdom. And suddenly, what was once too heavy for you to carry becomes something you can handle with ease. Persistence transforms you into someone who is aligned with the doors you seek. And then there are moments when you think a door closing is the worst thing that could happen. But later you discover it was actually protection. That job you didn't get might have led you into difficulty. That person who walked away might have saved you from heartbreak. That opportunity that slipped through your fingers might have been leading you away from your true purpose. When you refuse to give up, you develop the clarity to see that not every closed door is a loss. Some are blessings wrapped in disguise. And because you stayed patient, you're guided to something better, something safer, something more aligned with who you truly are. Persistence also has a mysterious way of attracting help. Sometimes the moment you decide to keep going, even when you feel like breaking, life responds. You meet the right person, you find the right resource, you receive the right guidance. A solution appears from a direction you never expected. The path that once seemed blocked suddenly opens, like a curtain being drawn back. You realize that effort is never wasted. Every try, every prayer, every tear, every sleepless night, they all contribute to the moment that the door finally opens. And when it does open, it often opens wider than you imagined. The reward feels sweeter, the success feels deeper. Because you know what it took to reach that moment. You didn't get it easily. You earned it. You fought for it. You waited for it. You believed in it. And in return, life hands you not just an opportunity, but a testimony. That is what happens when you refuse to give up. Doors that once felt locked forever begin to open, not by force, but by divine timing, steady effort, and the unstoppable strength of a heart that refuses to quit. When you refuse to give up, you don't just change your own life. You quietly begin to change the lives of others. And the most powerful part is this: you often won't even realize it. People watch more than they speak. They observe more than they comment. They notice your strength, your effort, your persistence, even when you think no one sees you. Your journey becomes a source of strength for someone who is carrying their own private battles. Your resilience becomes a form of guidance for someone who feels lost. And your refusal to quit becomes a reminder to someone else that they too can survive whatever they're facing. There are moments when you're struggling in silence, thinking, why am I going through this? Why does this have to be so hard? But somewhere out there is someone who sees the way you stand back up after falling. They see the way you continue trying after every setback. They see the way you remain patient, kind, and hopeful even when life tests you repeatedly. They see you, and because of that, they feel less alone. They feel braver. They feel capable. Without realizing it, you become a living example of courage. This world is full of people who are hurting inside, pretending to be strong, carrying burdens they don't speak about. And sometimes, the only thing keeping them going is the proof that someone else has survived something similar. Your life becomes that proof. Your journey becomes that evidence. Your scars become a message. If I can make it through my darkness, then you can make it through yours. And what a powerful gift that is, to inspire hope without even trying. You may not see yourself as a leader, but persistence turns you into one. A leader isn't someone who stands on a stage. A leader is someone who keeps standing even when life is trying to knock them down. A leader is someone who refuses to surrender to pain. A leader is someone who chooses faith over fear, effort over excuses, progress over comfort. When people witness that kind of strength, it changes them, it pushes them, it lifts them. Think of the stories that motivate you. Think of the people whose journeys inspire you. Most of them didn't set out to inspire anyone. They simply refused to quit, and the world learned from their persistence. In the same way, your story is shaping someone else's courage right now. You may not see it, but your consistency is helping someone heal. Your endurance is helping someone breathe again. Your willpower is reminding someone that miracles happen when you hold on just a little longer. And one day, when you look back at the most difficult chapters of your life, you'll realize that your pain didn't just strengthen you, it strengthened others. Your struggle didn't just elevate you, it elevated the people who watched you survive. Your journey didn't just change your destiny, it transformed the hearts of those who needed your example to keep going. That is the beauty of refusing to give up. Your endurance becomes a source of hope for people you may never even meet. When you refuse to give up, the ending of your story begins to transform into something far greater than the place where you started. You begin to understand that life is not defined by the difficulties you faced, but by the strength you found in the middle of them. And as time passes, you start to see how every moment that once hurt you, confused you, or slowed you down was shaping the final chapters of your journey into something meaningful, something powerful, something beautifully complete. The struggles that once made you question everything eventually become the reasons you rise higher than you ever imagined. The moments when you felt lost become the very paths that lead you toward clarity. And the chapters that nearly broke you become the parts of your story that inspire others the most. When you refuse to quit, you give your story the chance to unfold the way it was meant to. Many people give up halfway, not because they lack potential, but because they judge their future based on the pain of the present moment. But those who hold on, those who stay patient through the storm, are the ones who get to witness the sunrise. They get to see how the journey transforms them in ways they never expected. They discover strength they didn't know they had. They uncover blessings they never thought they would experience. And they realize that the ending of their story is so much more beautiful because they didn't walk away when the pages became difficult to read. Think of any powerful story. It doesn't become powerful because everything was easy. It becomes powerful because someone kept going when quitting seemed like the most convenient option. Your life works the same way. The challenges you face right now are not the end. They are the middle of the story where the character is tested, stretched, and prepared for what comes next. And the ending, if you refuse to give up, will be filled with lessons, growth, wisdom, and victory. Not because everything magically became simple, but because you transformed into someone capable of rising above it all. Refusing to give up also changes the way you see your past. Instead of feeling regret or bitterness, you start to feel gratitude. You begin to appreciate the moments that once made you cry because now you understand what they built within you. You see how the things you desperately wanted were replaced by things far better. You realize that the opportunities you thought you lost were simply making space for the opportunities that were truly meant for you. And the hardships that once confused you eventually revealed themselves as divine redirections, guiding you to something more meaningful. And one day, you will look at your story and understand why it had to unfold the way it did. You will see how every delay protected you, how every struggle strengthened you, how every disappointment positioned you, and how every moment of persistence shaped the life you were meant to live. You will see that the ending of your story became greater, deeper, richer, and far more fulfilling than anything you imagined, simply because you refused to give up. When you look back at everything you've survived, everything you've climbed through, everything you refused to quit on, you'll realize something powerful. You were never being defeated. You were being developed. Every setback shaped you. Every delay refined you. Every hardship strengthened you. And every moment you chose to keep going, even when your heart was tired, became a brick in the foundation of the person you are today. That is the miracle of refusing to give up. It doesn't just lead you to success. It transforms you into someone who can appreciate it, protect it, and grow from it. Your story becomes a testimony of strength, faith, and resilience. A story that inspires others long after you've lived it. So wherever you are right now, hold on a little longer. The pain you feel today is not the end of your story. The breakthrough you've prayed for, the peace you've searched for, the opportunity you've been waiting for, they are all closer than you think. Keep moving, keep trying, keep believing. Great endings belong to those who refuse to quit in the middle. If this message touched your heart, encouraged your soul, or reminded you of your strength, make sure you share this video and subscribe so others can receive the hope and motivation they need. Your one action might be the reason someone else finds the courage not to give up today.